It's, what is today? Today is June 16th, 2023. I just went to SLT meeting at my son's school. In there, like, again, update. It's actually my mind frame at the moment. I started this morning watching this 1998 movie called Enemy of the State. There's some Will Smith in there. I'm like, that complexion at English could get very vexing between Latin and English because it came out through a studio, but we're not on a DOS system of DIOS. We're on a God we trust system in capital W, lowercase e, at GOD. So I'm like, all right, so I'm watching that movie. Not that I'm going to comment on it because but it had in there this introduction of this NSA and who they are. Yesterday, I went through a different movie series where they were showing who the FBI were. And so, with that frame of mind, knowing that when I look at the money and the currency that comes out of the banks, it still has the Foundry children portraits on there for keeping one layer of communication and logic very clear cut at federal notations. So there's that going on. So I went into this SLT meeting, and the principal is saying that the structure, like the bricks and mortar of the building of PS31Q, which is all shrouded in black, it does not have a U.S. flag flying. I've asked about it. They said it's being laundered. And I keep an eye out for it, but it has not come back. And when I walk into the building, it has like all these flags. I sit there and I even asked some of the people in the building, I'm like, you have any idea what these flags are? Like where they belong or who they belong to? And they're like, not really. They're just there. I'm like, right. So, and that's in the lobby. So I'm just like, and on the sign it says work in progress government outside of the school. And I'm listening to this principal who's very upset about the construction. And our local congresswoman, apparently for the District 26, is Vicky Palladino. And they picked a Victor name? No, I mean, like, just Nick. I mean, I'm translated again. It's all Greek to me. What do I want? But anyhow, so there's that. And then, so I'm listening in what Gray area is speaking about, and then I'm listening to her very neutral mention of this construction project and of Vicky. And Vicky wants to do a town hall, but the gray area is like, she has to, something about a superintendent who, I don't know who the heck that is. And I'm like sitting there listening, and I'm like, wait, I have to interrupt you, and I apologize. And again, I don't want to be adversarial. Again, I'm supposed to be familial. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just want to get, because I was like, and you have to, let me preface this. I was like, the universe, it is just teeming with life. I was like, and then there's tribals, and then there's all sorts of communication problems. I was like, so then there's this, we trust in a GOD on our familial system, and now there's this introduction of Latin and these people that go off of a DIOS. I'm like, again, if there's friction in the system, I'm just trying to figure out where, like, that's why I say, I'm like, universe teeming with life, right? And then the galaxy, it's broken, because it is very confusing being in this building. So I said to her, I was like, you got to remember, I was like, you are going off the superintendent, which I don't know who that is. I was like, but Vicky's got something else. And I was like, and what all the parents in that room, I wanted them to know, I was like, I met the outgoing senator, who again looked familial, and she said that there was a 75% of the population in this district turnover for which she had not met. And again, I don't know if that's tribal related. I don't know if that's communications related. I have no idea. However, there's some incoming senator, allegedly, who does not look familial, does not look like In God We Trust, does not look like one of the Foundry children. So I don't know if that's a municipality or a principality issue. And I'm stuck here, and I'm not quite sure how to handle this entire situation. And then there's things like last year, like apparently the children, we are an underfunded school, so we're not even benefiting from funding. Then she got some grant at the end of the year, some open arms thing, and the children, because the funding was so poor in the school district this year, they didn't even have the correct on-level grading for reading. But now they got some grant at the end of the year, so she ordered some supplies because she's not allowed to roll it over. I go, wait, hold on a second. Who told you you're not allowed to roll that money over? Like, again, I'm trying to get to the root of the problem. Like, where does that money then go? Does it just evaporate? Like, I mean, does it get sheeted, and like, how do they, because my particular district is not being treated in a familial way by the government for which the republic stands. And these demon children that are here, I mean, whose responsibility are they exactly? So I'm just putting it out there because they seem to not like authority, but yet they need this authority. So they are having, this is what I get for all of my efforts. There's a volunteer appreciation breakfast or thing this morning at 9 a.m. I'll be attending. I got special invitation, not in the mail, but through my son's backpack. So I'm going to go and do that. But there is this concerning dysfunction, and I'm not putting it all on Vicky. I'm not putting it all on gray area of principality or principle in this equation. But there is a very real theater thing going on in war theater that is very really affecting the children. And while I'm being as civil as possible, the Civil War still seems to be raging on, even though they say that the North won. So that just lets me know I'm in the NICU at NIC, and then there's this Latin movie theater company that goes by You God, being TU and then DIO, in some kind of, like the colonials, they use this S hook when they're cooking with like cast iron pots above the hearth, like in the hearth when it stands big enough. But again, just found that out on the colonial trip that the school district let my son go on. I also learned what a Cooper was. That was helpful. So there's all of that. I'm in a park at the moment with the flag in this USA, I suppose. So that was the morning meeting, or the morning minutes. What degree of certainty do I have? Yeah, so that's what's going on inside of New York City. on June 16th, 2023. I took a snapshot, just one snapshot, of a very, like, whatever in that movie. Because there's numbers and some things somewhere between a north and a south that I read for myself that is concerning or could be concerning. I wrote my perspective this morning in my POV on Facebook. But again, I'm at the school. There was some summer program that they had called Summer Rising. Originally, I thought I was going to the other camp, which I was applying for. They said the application's being reopened for our district. So I'm hoping maybe I can get Anthony into that program, but I don't know. But he definitely needs it and could use it. So, I mean, all the reinforcement that he can get at this point. So, with learning, and because I just feel like they've been, like, and even Will Smith used this word, like I would use the word shyster, but he referred in his Will Smith way of a different word, which I heard the NYPD reps of before the class of, like, I don't know what the 9/11 class and thereafter call this, whatever, behind the wall of the front. But I know what the Alice in Wonderland version referred as an ex-NYPD when he was babysitting for a very well-known family in Manhattan as, like, the nanny's security. I know what he referred to it as. Not going to share it at the moment because I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I know what the locals sometimes use as different linguistics to, in a colorful way, paint one another. Not that I partake, but I've heard in ongoing efforts to, I mean, that's in somebody's office for some purpose. There are stereotypes, and they're useful when having to deal with complex, vexing complexion issues, and there's real rules to management, and then what's been disseminated in teaching of the children. And then this morning, right before I left the house to go to the school for this SLT meeting, they had these, for lack of a better word, they refer to them, and I don't mean any disrespect, it is Pride Month, as drag queens. Or the other word that I've heard them refer to themselves as I stay neutral on this, is transgender. And they were all in their pageantry, and they were reading books to kids. I taped it, I'll go back and reference it. And I was just like, my. This studio version of headlines and media and trying to keep tensions down and whatever's going on in the dysfunction. It's just this feeling of being trapped amongst nothing that looks like where I wanted to be, for certain. Like, I didn't pick this route, not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just stuck here, and I don't know how to get out. I don't know how to fix it. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It feels like somebody else's psyops. That's what it really feels like. I don't know whose, but it does not feel. It's just, I don't know. Again, it feels more like not us. If I have to speak and explain myself to the us.